In this latest edition of How to Kill Your Franchise and Any Possibility of a Future Competitive Scene Whatsoever, we have an article from Kotaku. Here, surprising fans, WB's Smash Bros. Like shutters until 2024 with no refunds. Free to play Multiverse has been bleeding players since July 2022 launch. Kotaku article talking about Multiversus. Today, Warner Brothers Games and Player First announced that the Multiversus open beta, so there's the trick there, open beta, will be shutting down for 90 days. The publisher and devs promise the game will return in early 2024. Wait a minute, that's a lot longer than 90 days. How's that? In the meantime, players will be unable to play online and no new updates will be released. And in bad news, I would call this worse news, for players who invested money into the game, WB has no current plans to offer a refund. I don't think they have to, because the fact that it's an open beta, sure, it's a scumbag move to charge money during an open beta for any sort of microtransactions or season passes or anything like that in an open beta. That's a whole different opinion. They probably don't have to offer a refund because players agreed to some terms of service. Hey, we can shut your shit down anytime we want to. The problem is this is very, very bad look for the game itself. What I don't understand is this whole 90 days. Let's see if the article has some more information. Released in July 2022, Multiversus came out of the gate hot. It was kind of fun. I did enjoy it. Brief time I played it. Becoming one of the most popular games on Steam. It's multi-platform. The platform fighter played a lot like Smash Bros. But instead of classic Nintendo characters, it featured a strange collection of fighters from WB-owned IP like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Superman from DC Comics, and Bugs Bunny from Looney Tunes. It has a whole mess of characters. Players enjoyed the free-to-play fighter, so that's a bonus. That's a plus for it. It was free to play. Praising its combat and crossplay. But in the months that follows, many complained about a lack of updates and new characters. That's a complaint gamers are going to have, even if whether it's free or pay, premium priced. It's a free game, and you're going to complain about new this, new that. It's an open beta. I think that complaint should fall by the wayside. They're testing it out. I'll give it that. Oh, as of last month, most of the game's PC audience was gone. Kill your game. Now the folks behind the game are shutting it all down until next year. They're shutting the game down in 90 days. Okay, so the game's going to be shut down for roughly 6 months. A lot can happen to any sort of online competitive fighting game in 6 months. People may not come back. And especially with the idea that they're not even offering any sort of refund to players who invested a massive amount of money in it, it's going to look bad. People are going to move on, cut their losses, and they'll never come back. This is a very bad look. In a post on the game's official website, Player First Games co-founder and Multiversus director Tony Hune explained why the team was shutting down the open beta on June 25th, saying that while it has been a, quote, important learning opportunity for the studio and a stepping stone to the next phase of the free-to-play fighter, there's still a lot of work to do. As a result, we have a clearer view of what we need to focus on, specifically the content cadence of new characters, maps, and modes to give you more ways to enjoy the game, along with updated netcode and more matchmaking improvements. We'll also be reworking the progression system based on your feedback and looking at new ways for you to connect with your friends of the game. If this was a test, a legitimate test, the only thing you were testing is the monetization and see how much people were going to pay. If it was genuinely a test, an open beta test, you shouldn't have charged any money for it, and players are going to remember this kind of garbage. I suffered a little bit from the predatory monetization of multiple games throughout my life, and I'd like to think I'm at a point where I can just walk away from this kind of crap. I'll play the free-to-play part, but if I'm not going to invest months in a game, I'm not even going to, I wouldn't even go for a Battlepass system outside of Rocket League, which I play immensely, or Destiny, which I enjoy the gameplay and the story. So, article goes on. To do this right away, the right way, we will be closing the Multiverse open beta on June 25th. As part of the process, we'll be pausing updates and taking the game offline as we prepare for the launch of Multiversus, which we are targeting for early 2024. During this extended downtime, all the game's online modes and features will be unavailable, and people will forget about your game. This is a dangerous move. Players will also have limited offline access to the in-game training room and local matches. Elsewhere in the post, a FAQ confirms that Multiversus is being completely delisted from... well, that's a bonus, but it's a free-to-play game. Never mind. Delisted from digital stores on April 4th. Premium currency will also be removed from the game during this extended shutdown. You should probably remove it effective immediately, because people who don't see this article or don't pay attention to the notes and the patch notes and the updates that they have on the game, they're not going to know. It's like, well, I'm going to keep putting them in. They're going to keep putting money into it until, what, the April 1st? April 4th? Jesus. The last part is worth noting. This is a game that was selling Founders Packs and in-game currency. Dirty move there. It had a large cosmetic shop and premium battle passes. That makes it even worse. How can you justify... Man, okay. How do you justify selling a battle pass and premium currency on an open beta if you legitimately want to test anything other than your moneymaker, anything other than the store? Too often, far more often, this goes back to, what is it, Marvel's Avengers shutting down after 2 years. Everything's free. People put massive amounts of money into that game, enjoying the game, the people that did, and they just, well, they're just going to shut down. A premium price game with a battle pass system and cosmetics that you can pay for, and they're just shutting it down this year, next year, I believe. And it's not the only one. It happens. It's a danger. It's a risk that all these game developers run when they try to make some sort of always online, ongoing service for players. If there's not enough interest, the game shuts down. If people fear there's not enough interest, they stop playing. If a few people stop playing, it's a snowball effect. Snowball turns into an avalanche that destroys the small little peaceful village at the bottom of players that actually like to play the game. And what ends up happening in the end is the players are the ones that get screwed. The people who invested hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over 1 or 2 years, they get screwed over. Is there a solution? I don't know. But always be careful of what you buy. Be careful of these battle passes, these cosmetics. Make sure you're going into games like this knowing full well that something like this can happen. It can happen to any game. But offering no refund, it's going to look bad. There was a comment at the bottom that mentioned some sort of class action lawsuit. I don't see that happening because, again, it's a beta. It's an online service. You agreed as players to some sort of essentially a contract, a licensing agreement. That's somewhere in there. They probably said they can do it and there's nothing the players can do. So, in what players going to learn? I doubt it. We're gamers. We want the next big, beautiful thing. Still, shit for the WB games to do. Tell me what you think in the comments. I don't think this game, it could come back strong next year, but it's going to be gone for 6 months. People are going to move on to the next big, pretty thing and forget about this like dust in the wind. Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. Do all that nifty stuff, that big, beg, shill. Thank you for making it this far. Bye-bye.